A warm welcome to Bhaktirasamritam, a storytelling series from an Indian Tale Box, a storytelling platform from the School of Spiritual and Cultural Studies. Bhaktirasamritam, the nectar of Bhakti Rasa, is yet another humble attempt to delve into the timeless connection of devotion, grace, and the divine through stories. Storytelling has a deep rooted significance in our culture, and today's tale is no exception. It promises us to take on a spiritual journey that would definitely touch our hearts and inspire our soul. Whether through itihasas, puranas, folklores, or legends of great saints, stories have always been vehicle for devotion and faith, helping us grasp the deeper truth of existence by connecting us to the divine. In fact, stories of devotion, like the one we will hear today, will serve as a reminder of how our faith can be our strongest guide in times of uncertainty. They show us that when the heart is filled with devotion, the divine will be always present to protect and guide us. So today's session, The Moon is a Hearing, is a story that blends devotion, divine grace, an unbreakable bond between a devotee and the Devi, the divine feminine herself. So, to bring this powerful story to life, we are honored to have with us Dr. Balakrishnan Shankar, Dean, Amrita School of Engineering, and also an ardent, loving son, devotee of Lalitambika Devi. And I should definitely say, he's a natural storyteller and at the same time, a passionate teacher of India's rich culture and wisdom. So, always has the gift of narrating stories that would definitely resonate deeply with both the head and the heart. So, without further ado, let us all join in welcoming Dr. Balakrishnan Shankar to share the story of Devi and her devotee Abirami Pattar, and also to take us on this spiritual journey on this Navaratri Eve. Over to you, sir.
Shaya, Amrita, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Can you all hear me? Uh,
Yes, sir, we can hear you, but your video, we're not able to see you, sir.
yeah, can you see me now?
Yes, done. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
I'm Shaya, everybody. Good evening to all of you. I was asked to, last time I was asked to give a story. I mean, this start a series on the stories of Indian saints and sages, of stories of bhakti, of devotion. And last time, I don't know how many were there. They were talking. We were talking about Andal, uh, the saint who garlanded the Lord, and or garlanded herself and then garlanded the Lord. Today, being Navaratri, I mean, we are celebrating the festival of the Divine Mother. Today, especially, is Durga Ashtami, the auspicious day of Durga Ashtami, when we celebrate the Divine Mother. So, we thought that the story of Abirami Pattar, the great poet saint of Tirukadayur in Tamil Nadu, would be appropriate. Now, before we get to the actual story about Navaratri, as you all know, we are celebrating Devi, we are celebrating the Divine Mother. And here for us at Amrita, we are in Amma's divine presence. Amma was considered a manifestation of the universal love. Avyaja Karuna Murti is what Devi is called. Lalitambika is called in the Lalita Sahasranama. The one of unconditional grace, unconditional mercy. And Amma is, as perhaps all of you know, considered a great example, a manifestation of that universal motherly love. So it is all the more appropriate that here in Amma's campus here at Amritapuri, that we are celebrating Navaratri and that we are talking about Abirami Pattar, the great saint of Tirukadayur in Tamil Nadu. So India is replete with stories of the divine coming to rescue the devotee in times of distress, starting from the old Puranic story of Gajendra Moksha, when Siman Narayana comes and rescues the elephant from the crocodile, which is got its teeth sunk into its legs. Then we have Prahlada, then we have Dhruva, Then we have Draupadi in the Mahabharata calling out to the Lord and receiving his protection. And we have then recently more, and through on, India is full of such incidents and stories and anecdotes. I would not call them stories, I would call them anecdotes, because there is ample evidence for several of these having happened, having taken place. Literature is there, works are there, etc., etc., etc. And all the way from those right down to recent times of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, our own Amma here. We have an unbroken line of sages and saints who have received blessings from the divine and who have been rescued by the divine, who have been, what shall I say, at the right moment, there has been a divine intervention which has changed the course of their lives or protected them from danger and disaster. So, one such story, before we go to the story, in Navaratri, as you all know, we are worshipping Devi. We are worshipping the Divine Mother, the essence of beauty and love and grace. And there is a very significant story. Here, we say the title of the story was "A Moon is Her Earrings." See, Devi is a cosmic entity. This whole universe is her form. And the Shakti that creates the formless Brahman manifests itself as this universe. Ekoham Bahusyam is what the Vedas say. The formless Nirguna Sachidananda, which had no form, no name, nothing. Uh, Beyond all qualities, the existence, consciousness, bliss, manifests itself as this universe. Apparently, there was a desire, an original desire in that, in Brahman, in the Absolute, to enjoy itself in a million ways, to become many. Let I am one, let me become many, is what the Vedas say. Ekoham Bahusyam. And that Brahman has manifested as this universe, has manifested as Ishvara, that is God, and as the universe, which is all the visible universe, and as all of us, and is creating this grand drama, playing with itself, in manifesting in itself in various potentials. All of us in Sanatana Dharma, there is nothing that is not divine. We are all divine, you and me and everything, and the table and this laptop and the table on which it is sitting is divine. The source of intelligence in all of us is divine. Consciousness in all of us is divine. That's what in Devi Mahatmyam it says, Sarvasya Buddhi Rupena Janasya Hridi Samstite. She who is in Swargapavargade Devi Narayani Namostude. She who is intelligence in all beings and whose consciousness in everybody's heart, seated in everybody's heart. So this whole universe is a manifestation of divinity. So the split is Brahman is there's supposed to be a initial desire in Brahman to become many, and the desire itself, the force that became the caused the one to become many, is called the mother of all beings. That is the Jagat Janani, the divine mother. That so since the word for desire is called Kama, the lord of the desire of Brahman or Shiva in when you take a Shiva and Shakti as being and becoming, is called Kameshwara, and the divine mother is called Kameshwari or Kamakshi or Lalitambika, which means the playful one. She is the playful mother that creates the universe, becomes all of us, and goes back into herself. This is what is the play. And she is known as the essence of beauty in all this universe. If you take this whole universe, there is beauty and orderliness and perfection everywhere. And yeah, of course, there is suffering and ignorance, but it is our ignorance of this oneness that causes suffering. Now, suffering is a very unique property, which is very unique to the human mind. Pain is everywhere, but as they used to say, suffering is inevitable, pain is inevitable, but misery is optional. Our ego does not apprehend divinity outside and inside, and therefore causes sorrow for itself. But that is also a part of the play. Devi is supposed to be Vidya, Vidya Swarupini. She is Vidya, she is Avidya also. She is not only knowledge, she is also us. She is also ignorance, hiding our eyes from herself. And when the time is right, she opens our eyes to our own true self and gives us realization. So the form of Devi, it is called Tripura Sundari, which is the ultimate beauty. And they And the Lalita Sahasranama, we are going to see Abirami Pattar's story. And it is one of the most important works on the Divine Mother. It is written in very pure Tamil, in Tamil. But it is considered one of the very sacred works, very deep, profound meaning on the Divine Mother. So it has three pillars here. I would say, perhaps other than Devi Mahatmyam or Chandipat, the three works on the Divine Mother which are most popular or and profound. I would say the Lalita Sahasranama, composed by Hayagriva, the thousand names of the Divine Mother, Lalita Sahasranama. The Saundarya Lahari, which composed by Shankara, and then this one, Avirami Andadi, which is so beautiful, and it is very similar to the Sahasranama and very similar to the Saundarya Lahari. So the Lalita Sahasranama describes Devi, describes her beauty, describes her mercy, describes the Divine Mother's love for all beings. It says the Divine Mother is Brahma Kita Janani. So she is the mother of all beings, from Brahma, the creator, down to a worm. She is the mother of all beings. She is Karuna Rasa Sagara. She is the ocean of motherly love. Karuna means mercy. Karuna Rasa Sagara. Avyaja Karuna Murti means unconditional love. She is the embodiment of unconditional love. And therefore, she is the beauty and love that is trying to express itself. That's what I am struggling to say here. This whole universe is a manifestation of that. Wherever you see, whether it's the solar system, the galaxies, in an atom, the electrons, the protons, the orbits, the leaf, in a flower, the symmetry, the beauty, the orderliness, the perfection in nature, everything is a manifestation of the perfection and beauty of the Divine Mother. And that is known as Tripura Sundari. She is the beauty of the three worlds, or Lalitambika. And so, why I'm saying all this, I have to come to her earrings. So the poet describes Devi extremely beautifully. The stars are, her crown consists of the stars. The sun and the moon are supposed to be her earrings. Her eyes are shining. Waves of mercy are, Karuna Tarangi Dakshim, waves of mercy uh, radiating from her eyes. Her face is full of auspiciousness, and there is a flood of beauty from her face, in which her fish like eyes are swimming, it says. So, Bhaktirasamritam Parivaha Chalan Meenavalochana, it says, Lalita Sahasranama. And then you come to the earrings. And very interestingly, the earrings are described as Tadanga Yugali Bodha Davanodava Mandala, means the two earrings. Yugala means both, and Tadanga is the earrings, are the sun and the moon. So the sun and the moon shining in her face. It's very interesting. There's supposed to be a lot of deep meaning and coding here. One interesting thing is, on a side fact, the sun is millions and millions of times larger than the moon. But, seen from the earth, the sun is 108 times larger than the moon. And the sun is also 108 times farther away from the moon. So seen from the earth, the sun and the moon have the same size. That's why we have eclipse. You have the lunar eclipse and all that stuff, because the sun and the moon are the same size. It's supposed to be Devi's earrings, and all of space is her face, and the stars are all, like flowers in her crown, and all this whole universe is her body, and you and I are all in it. So, a very beautiful description. And there's another very beautiful description of Devi's earrings in the Saundarya Lahari. You may wonder why I'm talking about the earrings. It has very much to do with the story that's coming up. So, in Saundarya Lahari, there is a very beautiful verse in Saundarya Lahari. I'll tell you by the way, I am neither a Sanskrit scholar nor a Tamil scholar. So, forgive me for those of you, I'm sure that many of you who perhaps know Abirami Andadi much better and Saundarya Lahari much better. I'm just telling you. There is a very beautiful verse in Saundarya Lahari. I think it's verse 28. It says, Sudam api aswadya pratibhaya jara mritya harini vipadyante vishve vidishatam agadhya dvishadaha. Karalam yat kevalam kabalidavata kala kalana nasambo tanmulam tavajanani tadanga mahima. What this means is, it's a very, very beautiful, it's a very, very beautiful verse. It's very poetic. See, we should not see logic in this, because when the poet is so full of love, he just breaks all comparisons, and he just is describing in his love for the divine. So I'm an engineer by profession, so my tendency is to break it up analytically. But we should try to avoid that when it comes to bhakti poetry, because here we are dealing with love, which is beyond logic. So anyway, so what he says is Nasambot Anmulam Tavajanani Tadanga Mahima is describing Shankara here in Soundarilari, describing Devi's earrings. He says, see, in India, the custom is that on a married woman, she wears Tirumangalyam, the Mangalasutra, and earrings. And in case, unfortunately, she becomes widowed, if the husband dies, she removes the earrings and the Tirumangalyam traditionally. So, vice versa, it said that the power of the wife's love for her husband, the purity of her love, she considers husband as her God, she loves him so much. The power of her love is the power of her mangalyam, the power of her earrings, the power of the fact that she needs to be, she loves him so much that the power of her love keeps the husband alive. So actually, that is what they say when, when in Sanatana Dharma, when the husband ties the Tirumangalyam around the wife, is Mangalyam Danduna Nena Mamajivana Hetuna, it says, you are the cause of my life. He actually says that. Because nowadays, I don't know whether this is applicable to modern wives. But anyway, this is the traditional ideal concept. So, so the power of the earrings and the power of the mangalam is supposed to keep the husband alive, because basically it symbolizes the power of the pure, innocent love of the wife for the husband. So the poet here, Shankara, says, Nasambo Tanmulam Tavajanani Tadanga Mahima. What he says is, see, in the Pralaya, so in this cycle of creation, after every 1,000 yugas or so, one yuga is 432,000 years, and the next yuga is two. So one cycle of the four yugas is 4,332,000 years, and 1,000 cycles like that is one day of Brahma, and 1,000 cycles like that is one night of Brahma. That is called a kalpa. And 100 such days is 1 year of Brahma, and 100 such years is one lifetime of Brahma. That is what it says. So it comes to some 4 trillion, a huge number, 4 trillion 300 and much more than that. And interestingly, Carl Sagan, the astronomer, says that that is a cycle in the Hindu theory, and after that all of creation is removed and then it restarts. And very interestingly, Carl Sagan, the famous NASA astronomer, says of all the scales of time that compares to the modern scientific thinking after Big Bang is creation and so many 4 trillion years or something, the Hindu depiction comes closest to the truth. I just wanted to tell you that. So, in our philosophy, we have the cycle of some 4 trillion years, after which there is a pralaya, and in which basically God does control alt delete, and everything goes back to formlessness, and then again it starts. Interestingly, during this pralaya, even all these gods, all the devas, Indra, Varuna, Vayu, everybody perish. All human beings perish. Everything perishes. But Brahman or Shiva, Lord Shiva alone, continues his existence. He does not perish. And then Shakti starts, Shiva Shakti starts the next cycle. That's what Shankara is talking about in a very beautiful way. He says, Shiva is supposed to have swallowed poison. You all know that. When they were churning the ocean of nectar, out comes poison. These are all deeply symbolic stories. And if I start going into that, I won't be able to come to the actual Abirami under the story. But, the story is when they were churning the ocean of milk for getting nectar from inside, the first thing that comes out is deadly poison. That is like hala hala visham, hala hala poison. And Lord Shiva drinks it. And he drinks it, and Devi catches his throat, and the poison stays there. That is why he's called Neelakanta. The neck has become blue. So what Shankara is saying is, the Devas drink the nectar, but interestingly, even though the Devas drink nectar during the Pralaya, they perish. Everybody perishes. Lord Shiva alone continues. Even though the Devas drink nectar during Pralaya, they perish. Your husband, oh mother, that is Shiva, your husband, even though he drank poison, he continues to survive. Nasambho tanmulam tavajanani tadanga mahima. But your husband, even though he consumed poison, he continues to survive. That is because of the power of your earrings, the power of your mangalya strength. The poet is telling Devi, Nasambho tanmulam tavajanani tadanga mahima. The glory of your earrings are such a way that they keep Shiva alive. Even the devas who drink nectar, which is supposed to keep them immortal, they perish. But Shiva, who drinks poison, survives. glory of your earrings. So, anyway, so this is the cosmic depiction of Devi and what she stands for, and the sun and the moon being her earrings, and the whole universe is her body. But interestingly, this story of Abirami Pattar again has this moon being her earring coming up in a very significant way. There was in Tamil Nadu, so I'll come to the story now. In Tamil Nadu, there is a place called Tirukadayur, okay, and that is where and there is a very famous temple there, where Shiva is Kala Samhara Murti and Devi is Abirami. And that is where Markandeya is supposed to have worshipped Lord Shiva and attained immortality. You all know the story of Lord Shiva coming and killing Yama or kicking Yama when Yama was trying to capture Markandeya. So Shiva is Kala Kalan, that's death to death. So that's why he's called Mrityunjaya. Shiva is beyond death. So he is death to death. Andakandaka is called Kala Kalan. Kalan means death. Kala Kalan is death to death. So Markandeya was given immortality in this temple. It's the story goes. I visited the temple. It's very beautiful, and the sculptures are incredibly beautiful. And you have the Kalasamhara Murti. They have the depiction of Shiva coming out of the Shivalingam, and Markandeya is hugging the Shivalingam, and Shiva is killing Yama. That statue is that Vigraham is incredibly beautiful. I mean, there is a sculpture there. It is so lifelike. It is just stunningly beautiful. And the Devi of that place is Abirami. Abirami means beautiful. Abirami means attractive. Abirami means she attracts everybody. Abirami is attracting everybody, giving delight to everybody. She's a universal. Everybody wants a mother, right? The father is all perfect, but he is too perfect. But for failing beings like us, we need the mother. Just like like the children, when we were children, we didn't go with the report card first to the father for signature. We first go through the mother. Like that, you go to Shiva through Shakti. You go to the Supreme through the intervening grace, the Divine Mother. So everybody, she's all attractive, all loving, all embracing, all forgiving. So a child approaches her as a mother. So that is a beauty in the Indian tradition. So God can be considered as father, as mother, as friend, as lover, as a son, etc., etc. And so Arjuna considered Krishna as a friend, Yasoda considered Krishna as his son. And you can consider him as your master. Hanuman considers Sri Rama as as his master. And here we have the devotees, the Divine Mother, consider God as their mother. And they are very lucky, I would say, because when you consider God as your mom, you're basically evoking the unfailing grace of the divine. She cannot blame you for your defects, because you can complain saying, hey, look, I am your child, you created me this way, so don't complain, so take me up. So that freedom you have with your mother, so that same freedom you express with Devi. We'll see that in the story. So what happens is, Abirami Pattar, there is a Marathi king called Sarvoji in that village, in that town of Tirukadayur. And even now, for the 60th anniversary, wedding anniversary, when the husband is 60 years old, people go to the temple and conduct ceremonies and all, prayers for long life, because it's the Shiva who killed death. So anyway, they go there. So there was this great saint called Abirami Pattar. He was so intoxicated with the love for the Divine Mother. His night and day was spent in contemplating upon her, meditating on her, understanding her tattvam, contemplating on Sahasranama, contemplating on Saundaryalahari. I mean, he was lost in meditating on her form, on her beauty, seeing her everywhere, and he was in a state of ecstatic madness. Recently also, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, you all know, when you read, he was in an ecstatic state of madness. When Amma, our own Mata Amrita Devi, in her young days, she was also in the state of ecstatic madness, where you forget everything, where you forget even your own body is forgotten in that mad love for God. When you're merged in samadhi, you're lost in contemplation, and nothing around the world distracts you, nothing around the world attracts you, nothing in this world even makes a dent upon you. So the man, Abirami Pattar, was crazy. To the world, he was crazy. He was a great scholar, he was a great poet, but as can be seen, but nobody knew his knowledge. Nobody knew what a great sage he really was. And he, in fact, that he was such a great scholar. Very few people know. Many people thought he was mad. Some people were very jealous of him, saying that because he used to obviously have some admirers, and some people were very jealous of him. and they wanted to tell bad things about him. Some people said he is mumbling some things constantly, muttering some mumbo jumbo in his lips. He is doing something evil, etc., etc. And they went and complained to the king that this man is mad or doing something wrong, and you should come and check it out. So the king comes to the temple, and Abirami Pattar is lost thinking about Devi. So Devi is Sharashchandra Nibanana, right? Her face is like the full moon. It says it glows with the brilliance of 1,000 suns, but it cools like 1,000 full moons, because it is like beauty and knowledge together. That is the meaning of that. When you say the sun and the moon, you're talking about knowledge and love. See, these are all there. You have to talk about, yeah, it is all symbolic. We have to understand that. So Devi Sharashchandra Nibanana. So Abirami Pattar is thinking he is lost in contemplating on the Divine Mother. And the Raja Saravoji comes in and asks him, what is today? What is the tithi of the day? What is today? Tithi means what day of the fortnight it is. In India, we go by the tithis, right? Today is Ashtami, Durga Ashtami, we say. We go by the tithi. So he says, what is the tithi of the day? He said, first day, second day, Prathama, Dvidiya, third day, fourth day, whatever. It happened to be an Amavasya. It happens, actually, this incident happened on the Amavasya in January. Tai Amavasya, it is called in Tamil. That is in the month of, in the month of after Makara Sankranti. That is, after January 15th, you get Amavasya. It is on the Amavasya that comes in January, is the incident when it happened. It was Amavasya. It was new moon night that day. And but Abirami Pattar doesn't even know there is a king there. He doesn't know the king is talking to him. He doesn't even understand the question fully, because he is lost in bliss. He is intoxicated, right? He is intoxicated, inebriated in bliss. So that is the meaning. In fact, in Devi Mahatmyam, they say Devi, takes a cup of wine before killing Mahishasura. That is, it is not the ordinary wine that is talked of. By that they mean the spiritual bliss, intoxic. Before finishing off the ego, the Mahisha means the ego, and the sadhaka, or the divine grace, gives a wave of bliss that kills the ego. That is what is the meaning of that. So anyway, Abirami Pattar is intoxicated in divine bliss, and he is thinking of Devi's face, which is looking like the full moon. And in an abstracted mood, without realizing who he is talking to also, he tells the king it is full moon today. And so it was actually new moon. The moon cannot come. But he says it is a full moon. And the king is furious, because the king knows it is new moon. He knows that there is no moon possible today, that night. And he's furious. He thinks this man is trying to mock me. How dare he insult me like this, saying it is full moon? And he threatens him, saying, okay, today if the full moon doesn't come, I will kill you. I'll kill you. And I will execute you. And then you better make it come. Let us see, he says. And then Abirami Pattar still doesn't know what happens. And Abirami Pattar comes back to normal consciousness. And two or three friends around him tells, what you did? You just told the king that it is supposed to be full moon. And it is new moon. What did you do? You just blabbered something to him. Then Abirami Pattar realizes what he has done. He said, oh my God, what did I do? Then he goes straight to Abirami. In Tamil movie, there is one very nice movie. He goes and tells her, Ennadi Abirami, hey Abirami, what do you mean? What are you doing? You put me in this trouble. I was thinking of you. Why did you put me in this trouble? I told the full moon because I'm thinking of your face. I'm always thinking of you. I have no other thought but you. Then why are you putting me to this trouble? You put me in this trouble, so you get me out of it. That is what he told Abirami. And that's what I said. The authority with which a child can demand from its mother. So what he says in the movie, actually whether that's words were used or not, I don't know. But in the movie they depict it. He says, Ennadi Abirami, Solladi Abirami, he says. D is a very colloquial term. You don't say D to anybody in a respectful way. Use it only if it's very, very, in a colloquial way. And to definitely you don't call the Divine Mother with that. But that shows his, what shall I say, his Vatsalyam. And it shows his love, and it shows his freedom, that he's taken his childlike authority. That is what the movie depicts that. Whether actually it happened like that, we don't know. But anyway, he goes and tells her, look here, I believed you. I was thinking of you. And that's why I said full moon. Now it is your responsibility, not mine. So what happens is the king comes and they put him on a stage, which is hanging by strands. And there is fire down. And he will, if the moon doesn't come, the king will cut the rope, and the Abirami Pattar will fall into the fire and he will burn to death. Then Abirami Pattar starts singing what is this world famous standard, outpouring of devotion. It's called Abirami Andhadi. Now, it's very interesting because it's an extremely deep poem, and Anda Adi means the last word of the first paragraph is the first word of the second paragraph. So Anta Adi. Anta is ending, Adi is the beginning. So the last word of the first paragraph is the first word of the second paragraph. Like that, he starts singing Avirami, Anta Adi. And verse upon verse. See, these great people, these Mahatmas, they are not affected by all these. Maybe he took it as an opportunity to, show the world this poem. I don't know. Maybe Devi took it as an opportunity for these verses to come rushing out of her darling devotee. I don't know. Maybe. Or anyway, during times of crisis, that inner power just comes out in these people. You have many cases, even in Amma's life, you have cases when Amma bursts into song and composed many songs when she was a kid. If at all we have time at a later time, I will tell you that. So he starts off, and it extremely beautiful set of verses, and each verse is so completely divine and so full of meaning. So let me just, I don't know how many of you know Tamil, and I don't know, I am not an expert in Tamil. And for those of you who are expert in Tamil, please forgive me if I'm making mistakes. But I'm just telling you the very, very beautiful verse. He starts off with உதிக்கின்ற செங்கதிர் உச்சித்திலகம் உணர்வுடையோர் மதிக்கின்ற மாணிக்கம் மாதுளம்போது மலர்க்கமலை துதிக்கின்ற மின்கொடி மென்கொடி தோயமென்ன குங்கும தோயமென்ன விதிக்கின்ற மேனி அபிராமி எந்தன் விழித்துணையே. What it means is உதிக்கின்ற செங்கதிர் உச்சித்திலகம். He starts with the sun, but we are going to come to the moon. உதிக்கின்ற செங்கதிர் உச்சித்திலகம். He says that Devi is the bindi on Devi's forehead. Now, it is like the sun. The sun, the rising sun, is the tilak on Devi's forehead. Such a beautiful description. You have, that is actually very similar to Lalita Sastama. Lalita Sastama, you have Sindhu, Aruna, Vigraham. The entire radiance of the sun is considered to be Devi. Udyadbhanu Sahasrabha, she is called. That is, 1,000 suns rising radiance is supposed to be the divine mother, the divine's radiance. Same thing in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna says when he sees the Vishwarupa, like 1,000 suns, Divi Sahasra, he says, right? So, உதிக்கின்ற செங்கதிர் உச்சித்திலகம் உணர்வடையோர் மதிக்கின்ற மாணிக்கம். Then comes different colors come in. மாதுளம் போது மலர்க்கமலை துதிக்கின்ற மின்கொடி. So there is a very yogic underlying meaning in this. உணர்வுடையோர் மதிக்கின்ற மாணிக்கம் refers to Saraswati. Malarkamalai tudikindra minkodi is Malarkamalai means the lotus, the lady on the lotus who worships. So Devi is supposed to be worshipped by Lakshmi and Saraswati. In Sahasranama you have Sachamara Ramavani Savidakshana Sevita. Like wealth and education, knowledge and wealth come to the devotee of the Divine Mother. That's what it means. Lakshmi and Saraswati is supposed to be attendants for Devi. It says, Malarkamalai tudikindra menkodi, menkodi kunkuma toya enna vidikindra meni Abirami and then Veittonaya. That Abirami, who's wearing the sun as her, who's radiant like the sun, who's tilak on her forehead, who's the sun, who's the tilak on her forehead is the sun, and who's worshipped by Saraswati and Lakshmi, who is red like kumkuma, and she is like a streak of lightning. She is my protection. He starts. And there is an incredible inner meaning. People have done PhD on Abirami Andhadi, by the way. And actually, in yoga, when they say when the Kundalini rises from the Muladhara Chakra to the Sahasrara Chakra, these colors are various colors are seen by the devotee. And so we start, in the I used like min kodi refers to the lightning streak. Bisand Tatillata Samarichi, it says in Lalita Sahasranama, the lightning that strikes. And then you have Manikam, the green color Manikam comes there. And then you have Malarkamalai Tudikindra Minkodi is the next color that comes, is the lotus heart, the heart lotus that opens. So there is a yogic coding in this verse also. So how come a poet who is, in disaster with the fire burning under him is able to compose like this and with such deep layers of meaning? I don't know. That is beyond, I think, normal human understanding. He says, Vizhi Tunaye. So the next verse will start with the word Tunai. So, Tunayum Torum Devamum Petratayum Surudigalum Panayum Korundum Padikonda Verum Panimalar Punganayum Karupu Chilayum Men Pasangosum Kayil Lanayum Tripurasundari Avade Arindaname. So he starts, she is my protection, she is my Devam, she is my God, she is my mother, she is the essence of the Vedas, she is the one that the Vedas are bowing down to, she is the root of creation, and she is the one who's having very soft flowers in her hand. In the iconography of Devi, she's supposed to have a sugarcane bow that represents the mind, and the five senses as five flowers. Basically, Devi is the Atma within us. And what are the Atma's instruments? This body, mind, and intellect, isn't it? And the what is the five main thing in this body is the five senses, and then the mind. So the Atma is supposed to be wielding these instruments. That is but in Devi's case, the mind is very sweet, like the sugar cane. So she has a sugarcane bow, and she has ice cool flowers. That's what he says, Pani Malar. It's extremely beautiful. He says, because and men Pasa Ankusham, there is Pasa and Ankusha, there are weapons in her hand, but they are also soft. Because why he's trying to say, he's talking about Devi's love. Even the weapons in her hand is love. That is what he's trying to say. It is not when we talk of Devi or Kali or Durga, we have a fierce picture in front of us. It is not like that at all. Her weapon is love, and her conquest is through love. And love is stronger than any other weapon on earth. You all know. You all know. You have seen that we all surrender to our mother, whatever may happen, isn't it? Because of love. The power of love is so great that absolutely nothing can come in front of it. We have experienced it. For those of us who have gone near Amma, we experience it every day when we see this. So, men Pasangosumam Kayil Anayim Tripurasundari Avadi Arindaname. So she is my protector, and I know that she is protecting me. He starts that. And then verse after verse after verse comes out. And it's a very interesting fourth verse. I am not an expert. I'll just tell you this and then I will finish. It says, Manidarum Devarum Maya Munivarum Vanda Chenni Kunidarum Chevadi Komalame Kondraivar Chadaimel Panidarum Tingalum Pamum Bagiradim Padaita Punidarum Niyum and Pundi Innalum Perindagave. Here he is calling Shiva. He is saying, come. But he says, oh, one who is worshipped by Manidas, by Manidar means by men, by Devas, by the Rishis. Oh, one whose feet is worshipped by the Rishis and the gods and all men. Come. But how do you come? Come along with the Holy One who has the Ganga and the snake and the moon on his head. Come with him, he says. He says he doesn't call her alone. He wants her to bring Shiva along with her. Panidarum Tingalum Pamum Bagiradim Padaita Punidarum, the Holy One who has this moon and the snake and the come. And there's a very, very deep meaning in this, extremely deep. Because it's very cooling, the whole thing, Panidaram Tingalum. And the whole thing is very cooling. It is about love and kindness. And so Ganga is cooling, the moon is cooling. And the snake on Shiva's head is supposed to be very at rest, is at peace. It has gotten rid of its poison. So that is the negativity in us when Shiva takes it off, and he removes the poison from us. That is the meaning there. So he's referring to that state in which you have perfection, in which there is no negativity. Come to me, he says. And all the while, the fire is burning underneath. And that is the most interesting. I just wonder how on earth a man can compose all this with fire burning under him. And then, and the Maharaja is busy, rotating the wheel that is bringing the stage closer and closer to the fire, and he is going to fall into the fire. And then it goes on and on. The verses go on and on and on. And in one verse, he describes Devi's eyes. And I'll tell you that verse, and then I'll come to the climax verse, and then we will stop. There, it's Devi's eyes, he says, Danam tarum, kalvi tarum, Deva vadivam tarum, Orunalum talarvaria manam tarum, Nallavan ennam tarum, Nenjil vanjane illa, Inam tarum, அன்பர் என்பவர்க்கே கனந்தரும் பூங்குழலால் எங்கள் அபிராமி கடை கண்களே. What he says, Amma's eyes, Devi's eyes. Yeah. It gives us dhanam tarum kalvi tarum. It gives us wealth. It gives us education. Uranalum talarvariya manam tarum means it gives us a mind that does not give up. It gives us perseverance and strength. It gives us a mind that does not give up. See, that's a very interesting thing. He's talking about sadhana here. Not giving up. Not giving up is when we are trying to achieve something great in life, we very often give up. But Devi, the grace of Devi is she gives us a mind that never gives up, a never say die attitude, because she fills us with so much confidence and strength that no obstacle in life can prevent us from achieving what we want. That is what it says. Uranalum talarvariya manam tarum nallavanellam tarum, gives you all that is auspicious. And very interestingly, he says, Nenjatil vanjamilla inam tarum. The grace of God gives us family members and relatives who are not hypocrites, who love us sincerely. Denjatil Vanjam means treachery. There is no treachery in their hearts. You all know, how many people in this world suffer from having, children are throwing their father into the old age home. They abandon their mother. Parents are abandoning the children. Brother fighting with brother. In this world, you see everywhere you see hypocrisy, everywhere you see poison in people's hearts where they hate each other. But Devi's grace prevents that. She gives you, she surrounds you with love. She surrounds you with people who have love and who have love for you. But then he says something very interesting. He says, I have obtained by worshipping her, I have obtained a heart that loves everybody. He says that. So here actually he's referring to the king. The same king who's trying to kill him, he says, I have obtained a heart which loves him also. That verse is very beautiful. I have obtained knowledge of the self. I have obtained the heart that melts in compassion to everybody. And having touched your feet, he says. So this is and there's a series of verses that talks about what he has obtained from Devi and how it is that she has completely transformed him, and completely she is the one who's protecting him. And he's full of confidence. He says in one verse, I know you will protect me. You have no choice, he says, because I have completely given to you. I have nothing else other than you. And the surrender there is incredible. And finally, the 79th verse comes. And I'm actually scrolling here. I don't remember the 79th verse from the top of my head. So I will read out the 79th verse here. And the 79th verse comes, and there what happens is, when this 69th is what I already told you, Dhanam Tarum, Kalvi Tarum. And when the 79th verse that comes, and he's saying, your holy name is my refuge, it wipes out the fear of enemies. And then in the 79th verse, he says, Vilke Arulundu Abirami Vallike Vedam Chonna Vaike Vayibada Nenji Undu Yamak. Means, I have your grace for my eyes. I know the grace that is coming from your eyes. I have your path that you have shown me, which is the path of the Vedas. Vayibada Nenji Undu. I have the mind to follow your path. When that path is there, I am not going to follow anybody else or be afraid of anybody else. Why would I be concerned by anybody else? He says. He refers to this king who is going to kill him. He says, I am not affected by anybody because I have you. At that point, what happens? We will come to the earring. What happens is, the story goes that Devi takes her earring and throws it into the sky. And she throws it into the sky, and the earring shines like the full moon. Like it shines like the full moon. And all of a sudden, people are shocked that on a new moon night, there is a full moon up there in the sky. And that's the 79th verse. And the king is shocked, and he realizes what a great person this Abirami Pattar is. And immediately he takes him off from the stage. But then the verse doesn't end there. He continues to 100 verses, because the outpouring does not end there. The Devi has given the full moon is there, the fire has been extinguished, the king has fallen at his feet, but still out comes another 21 verses in incredible Tamil poetry. And this is the story of Abirami Pattar. We are running out of time. I guess I kind of but each one of these verses has so many multiple layers of meaning. There is a very nice verse when it says, Whether I'm standing or sitting or lying down or walking, I think of you. And that actually refers to Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. Shiva is standing, Vishnu lying down on the snake, sitting is Brahma on the lake, on the lotus, and walking refers to energy, refers to Shakti. So he says all these Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, or the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, are functioning due to you. That is the inner meaning. And I am constantly thinking of you. How can you be without protecting me? He says. And Devi, sure enough, throws up her earring, and it shines like the full moon. And that is Abhirami Andadi. And it has become so famous. There are literally millions of people have been chanting these verses for the past 400, 500 years. There are scholars. Our own in ashram, we have Swami Shankar Chaitanya, Shankaramrita Nandapuri Swami now. He has given YouTube lectures on Amirani Andadi and the Lalita Sasnama. For those of you who have time or interest, you go and look at that. Incredibly beautiful explanations. Each one of those verses have multiple layers of meanings, similar to Saundarya Lahari, similar to the Lalita Sahasranama. But interestingly, what it means is that, this there is what it means is whenever a person contacts the divine, they have similar experiences. This means that there is something true in this. See, if you want to measure gravity, if I drop a ball here and measure its acceleration, it is 9.8 meters per second square. If you do it in Japan, it is also 9.8. Somebody else does it somewhere, it is also 9. It is a reproducible event, right? Like that, you find that Hayagriva's description of Devi in the Lalita Sahasranama, Shankara's description in Saundarya Lahari, and Abirami Pattar, just 500 years away. Hayagriva is thousands of years ago, we don't know. And Shankara 1,000 years ago, and Abirami Pattar, 300, 400 years ago. Maybe, I don't know the exact date, around maybe 600, 700 years ago. Is all the same divine is being described in incredible beauty. The language is different, but the idea of the all protecting mercy of the mother is there. And the idea that when we give ourselves completely to her, she gives herself completely to us. So, with that, on this Navaratri, Amesharanam, I'll stop this. This is the story. And now please take up this book if it interests you, and read it. And every one of those verses, you can do a PhD in those verses. It has such a deep meaning. If you have questions, please ask me. I think it's 7:45 and we will stop. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. I don't know how should I be explaining the story and how much you have talked. Yes, you didn't just limit yourself to the story, but all the facts, also a little bit of science and facts you have added in. Thank you so much. So yeah, as sir mentioned, if you have any doubts or anything, you may
You can put
please.
in the chat or you can ask me.
Yes.
And
I'll ask you. You mentioned about a book. Can you tell me, Namashwaya? Can you tell me what was the name of the book? I think I
Abirami Andadi. Which book? Abirami Andadi. Abirami Andadi. In fact, I will put a link on the chat. Maybe you
I
can.
okay. Thank
Uh,
you.
uh,
Okay.
Abirami Andadi, it's called.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a very deep Tamil book. So unless we know Tamil, no, but it's English also is available. The meaning
Okay.
is very beautiful, and English
Okay.
translation is available. Even
Okay.
though it's Tamil book, not all people, even Tamilians, find it difficult to understand because it's very deep Tamil.
Mm,
But yeah, it is extremely beautiful.
okay. Thank you.
On this Navaratri Eve, so let us all pray that we have the attitude of Abirami Pattar, and Devi blesses us with all the things Sir has mentioned: a mind with perseverance, auspiciousness, prosperity, to surrender, selfless and compassionate heart, and also the knowledge that really guides us in our search of existence, our true existence. So, thank you so much, sir, for your
Thank you.
story and your words of wisdom. And thank you all for joining our session today. So, we'll wind up the session by chanting Shanti Mantra, Loka Samasta 3 times. Om Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.